morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to all the new members. I have no idea what time you're watching this, but it is 3 a.m. Monday morning, my time, 3:16 p.m. Sunday over there on the East Coast, and I am happy to be back. I'm happy to be back. I apologize for the act of God, which took me off from being on the internet and gave me a real life for a few days. And what I have for you here on screen is the radar of us skirting a possibly even more devastating event with this typhoon, which is developing, but it's moving further and further away north, as this one over here on the left was supposed to have done, but it did not. I will cut you off here and leave you onto the map. So for those of you who are not familiar with how this country is designed over here, it's 7,700 islands. I've lived in multiple places here over the past 18 years. This being here over here in Manila, this up here just above being Angeles City in Pampanga, Olongapo, Subic. And this is the Bicol region, and this is what is devastated. Absolutely devastated. And as you can see, just from the configuration of the country and why it's a 13-hour drive to get to Manila, it's because this is the route that you take. And this is cut off, completely cut off. So this entire region, we are cut off. There's no supplies that are able to come in. None. Other than by helicopter. And over the past few days, as things have moved, we have gotten out, we've moved around, and this is a nice road right here. This is a very nice road. You could still go by on this. You could go by on your motorcycle. You could go by on a truck. You could delicately go by on a car. This is very famous, and this is very true. This is not far from where I'm at. But this is more of the reality of what is out there, of bridges which have just been completely wiped out. And what happened here, again, just to bring you back onto the geographic or the topography, right here is Mount Isarog. This is the biggest mountain in the country. Down here, you've got the Mayon volcano, active, still active. And right here, you have Lake Buhi, right behind Mount Isarog, Baal Lake, and Lake Bateau. Lake Bateau is the largest lake in the country. And what wound up happening, besides the overflow of these lakes, in this region, where you see the little red dot there, the dams were opened. And this was beyond devastating. I mean, beyond. This is nothing compared to what's out there. And as much as I wanted to go and, share my view, which I kind of shared over there in the alert room, I don't want these people that have suffered with literally no food, they have lost everything, to victimize them any more than they already have been by taking videos from my air-conditioned vehicle. So, as we have since inception dedicated the membership directly 100% to feeding, educating, housing the street kids in Manila, in Pampanga, in Angeles, I'm redirecting all of those funds, and I appreciate the few of you who have emailed and messaged me about wanting to redirect some of your own income from your trading. I'm dedicating all of it for the minimum period of at least the next 3 to 6 months to putting these people back into real lives, because they've lost everything. So Enough of that, and I bring you on here to what I have started at 1 o'clock. I woke up around 1 o'clock in the morning. Now, as far as we go, we had very little damage. I lost a couple papaya trees. We got some water that went in, as you saw in the video I sent there on Monday night. Some water came up on the terrace. Very, very little of it started to come into the house. Nothing destroyed as far as foundation. We lost a couple papaya trees, a lot of branches on the avocados and the mango trees, but nothing devastating. Just down the road, not even half a kilometer, we were landlocked for 2 days. We could not get out because of the water. When we were able to get out, the supplies are very limited and they are now depleted. There's nothing out there. Gasoline stations are empty. The small mom and pop grocery stores that have stock are now all empty. The grocery stores, the proper grocery stores, are either unable to be traveled to because the roads are flooded, or they simply are flooded and they don't have any stock because nothing can come in and supply. So it's a little bit of a almost Hunger Games, but enough of that. You're not here for that. You're here for trading. You're here to make money. You're here to make me do some work for you. So that's what we're here to do. So I go on here from 1 o'clock, a couple hours ago. I got on, had a look, went through everything, and I see you guys had an amazing week. You had a great week. As we had that October 17th, 58.78, boom, boom, boom. Last week you had 3 red closes in a row. And what do you get after you get 3 red closes in a row? You get the green close. Bang! Friday was a bit of a nothing, but as you see there, we did come down to that 58.05, 57.95 area. We got it done, got it finished. Had a little tiny dip down below that with your tiny little 32.88 range day there on Thursday. Did not get your plus 1%, but we will move over onto that because more importantly, we got the red week after having 6 green weeks in a row. As I mentioned to you, very, very, very similar to what we had going in there to July, although the first red week in July was a little bit more aggressive to the downside than what we've just recently experienced here with this minus 49 points, only 104-point range. And this is still intact. We have only traded 204 points for the month of October, and the monthly candle, 57, 57, 73, I still see this as a high probability for that to be a red month of October. Bring it on here onto the spreads, having had a look and gone through, you had your bang, minus 1% day over there on Wednesday, bang, bang, and did not, like you say, 58, 17, 80, 58, 61, 94, you did not. However, let me just have a look. I'm not a rocket scientist at all. And we see 5762.41 times 1.01, 5820, 581780. You see, this is using your noggin. You didn't get your plus 1% day there on Thursday, but you got almost plus 1% off of the lows there on Wednesday. So it's a video game, people. Don't ever forget it being a video game. But as you see there on Monday, your 58.75, 58.70 went 67%. Offline, 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 offline on Friday. However, you had your trade there for Friday being a red week, 58.60, 58.55. $3 credit, $2, 233% full credit. Nothing to worry about whatsoever after you got through Tuesday. So this is where it got a little bit screwy for me when I started looking over here at the QQQ. You got a red week over on the SPX, and then you come over here and you got your green week because of your earnings, and your earnings are going to continue as we go into this week. QQQ over here hitting 500 and then dropping, bam, better part of 6 points off of that high there on Friday morning. You got a green week, plus 2 points. Got your plus 1% there. Had your little minus 2.2% there on Wednesday with your little dip, but still As you see here, what we're tracking, that 485, 487, 487, 485. Got to get under that 485, 487 to even ignite anything for this to begin to have any kind of downside movement. This week, big week, big week. Once again, as a reminder, I do not trade earnings. I do not advocate trading earnings. However, if you would like to trade earnings prior to them reporting, all you need to do is send a little tinkle message over there to me in Slack privately. Post it in the main room if you want to, if you feel confident enough to, if you think other people are asking about it. And I am more than happy to provide you with what I see are probabilities and possibilities of what may or may not be beneficial to trade. But after these companies report, like Tuesday, AMD, Alphabet, big names going to be reporting. Chipotle Mexican Grill used to trade that every single week. McDonald's traded that a whole bunch of times this year. After they report on Tuesday, you have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday where you could trade the weeklies, and you have another December, November, January, all of those different dates that you could trade after the report is already out. Microsoft and Meta over here on Wednesday, Caterpillar Wednesday morning, Amazon, Apple Thursday after the close. This is a big week. This is the big week. You got your other names over here that people love. Roku, Etsy, Visa. A lot of stuff happening this week. So hold on to your hats, sit on your hands, and trust me when I tell you everything will sort itself out and you'll be able to have that big, nice direction. Over here on the IWM, nothing. Still trading into 220s, still coming down to 217, although nice little couple of closes here below 220. But again, red, green, red. You had 5 red days in a row coming down here on this dip. And on those 5 red days in a row coming off 227, you couldn't even get minus 10 points over here. But again, red week, minus 6 points over here on the IWM. And I believe this is more than enough to leave us here on this. So I will take you over to the charts. And let's get going. SPX, looking at the 5-day. A lot of wiggle. Great short if you were able to get short over here on, what was this, Friday? Yeah, Friday. Absolutely fantastic short, 58.60. Absolutely amazing short if you were able to get up there on 58.60. But again, broke down below that 5800, 57.95, came on down to it. 23.6 retracement coming down there to the 54.0262 from September, almost minus 2% from the all-time highs, and then your chop zone back up off of Wednesday. Thursday being a nothing burger, Friday with the earnings gap up off of the NVIDIA, or not NVIDIA, but the QQQ, and then just ba-bang to the downside over here on the SPX. But again, still hanging there at that 5800. Bring you on here to a default view and zoom you out for a much wider view. And again, coming off of that big 9.9% drop over here into the early part of August after having 6 green weeks in a row going into July, 3 red weeks in a row coming down here on this minus 9% into August. Still tracking this as a bullish 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 being completed, whereas there are other people out there that are pushing this to be, and I will show you here, because again, nothing is for real until it is. There are a number of people which, again, as we shared that 59.3473 as a possible upside, this is what they're looking at. They are still looking at this being a middle portion of the wave 3, this being the 1 up here to 56, what is it, 56.50, the 2 being down here to 54.02, and the 3 to be pushing up here into the 6,000s. Give you a little bit of a wider view, if that's even possible here. And that's why you see people talking about 6260, 6400, because this is what they are looking for, and that's what they are dedicated and focused on, is that view right there. So zoom you over to the next chart, that being the full moon, and us being up 43% from the October of 2023 lows when Israel invaded Gaza, having had that 9.7% drop, not 9.9, 9.7, after 6 consecutive green weeks going into the July high, very similar to what we just experienced here, and your full moon top being that 58, 78, 46. Full moons are an art. They're not a science, but as you can see where these white dots are, full moons have had a very consistent history of posting out where your highs and where your lows are before a major change in direction. As you can see over here, going back into 2023, they were absolutely fantastic. Coming into the latter portion of 2023, they were fantastic. Going into 2022, during 2022, they were absolutely fantastic. So they're very dependable. They are also reliable. And as you can see from here, we're showing you the big, broad, wide support levels, that nothing to be worried about with the SPX being above 4,700, 4,800. And your nearer term, closer term support line being that coming off of here from the April lows, and that being here off of the August lows, that coming out here to around 5,300. So nothing to be concerned or worried about until you start breaking down below levels. Those levels being, there's really nothing to talk about until we start breaking down below 5740. To break down below 5740, you're getting a red month of October, being below 57.57. 50-day moving average intact down here onto your 15-day lows, which come back here to the early portion of October. And that's pretty much all that I've got to say about the SPX for now, because over here on the QQQ, this is where it's all at. It's all in the QQQ. It's all been in the QQQ. You pop up here to 500 over there on Friday, and your little sell down, dip down with two gaps that were created last week on Thursday and Friday that need to be filled, and your big gap coming back here still all the way back to the early portion of October. Zoom you out once again to where we are, and again, this all still tends and looks and is considerate of being an ABC still, with nothing to discuss on this until there is a break down below 480, down into this 471 region. Then we can start talking about, okay, this is definitely a completed ABC. Until we're down below 471, all we're doing is fucking flapping our hands in the submerged mud puddle sitting in this traffic area above 487. 487, 495. IWM, a little bit more aggressive on the IWM, but we'll have some comments to make about this in a few minutes. Nice move down off of that you cannot break 227 area. And unfortunately, we're still stuck here at this 217 with the 50-day moving average being right here. Zoom us out on the IWM, and again, you see there is a lot of opportunity for us to be pushing lower down to the downside, down to that big 207. That big gap still there to be filled from the post-FOMC. But we're just kind of selling credit, making fucking couple $1,000 a day over there on the Russell. Dow Jones. A little bit of comments to make over here on the Dow Jones. This gap having been filled, I can remove this. Actually, same thing on the QQQ. On the QQQ, come over here onto a 5-minute. Oh, no, I apologize. I was wrong. IWM, nope, none over there. So, yeah, over here on the Dow Jones. One gap having been filled on this move to the downside, and a gap that is still teetering up here from Wednesday to the upside to be filled, which has not been filled. This being a, again, 15-day view, looking at the early October lows down here at 418. This was a nice shove down to 420. Very nice shove. However, I'll show you in a couple of minutes that it might be all that we can get for now. As I haven't looked. I haven't been able to get updated yet, but I'm assuming Trump is still expected to be the winner, at least of the popular vote. We'll see how they shimmy shammy everything around as far as the Electoral College goes, but that appears still with the Dow Jones and the Trump rally going on. Coming into the election, we'll see what we got. So a couple of stocks here to look over. Nvidia, and I saw news as I did get online earlier. Nvidia, there's been a big chip sale ban to Taiwan. I don't know how that affects Nvidia in any way, shape, or form. All I know is that Nvidia is a scam. It's a fraudulent accounting, but here we are. We're trading up here at 141, so 141, 136, and possibly 131. Nothing bearish on Nvidia until there's a breakdown below, back down below 131. Come over onto Netflix. Now I remember. Looking at a very zoomed in view on Netflix. Netflix here with the earnings gap from 6.6. Where are we here? 687 on the earnings gap. Nothing, absolutely nothing over here on Netflix because everybody's enjoying themselves. So yes, here it was on Tesla. Tesla with their earnings here on Thursday, boom, boom, or Wednesday, bam, big gap up, huge gap up. Nice push up here to 269.49. This gap I can remove, but I want to zoom out before I do that. Here is this gap to be removed, and here is this gap to be removed, as we saw that decline from 264. This has been a nice short zone up here at this 271 region. I'll zoom you out so you can see it a little bit clearer. Here's your zoomed in view, and you still have a gap up here. You still have a gap up here from going back in August of last year. But as you can see here, your resistance, right up here at this 269. Very good, very strong resistance. However, I have to give full credit to this being a very bullish looking pattern. And as I said, when made some comments back there earlier, Trump wins, Tesla should hit 313. And 313 is your big target level up above. Trump wins, Elon riding the coattails of that, Tesla should see 313. So we've still got another week and a half to go on that. So again, that's your view on this. I will now move you on to our VIX. Man, this wants to scream and holler market sell-off. It wants to pound the table, market sell-off. It wants everything to tell you that the market is due to drop. This gap, perfectly filled. Can remove that. However, we are still not up. Well, we don't need to go there because that is something that we're going to carry in a couple of minutes. We're still below that 2102. Get up above that 2102. And again, looking at this from what I tried to share before, this is definitely not there because we sold down lower. So if we wanted to view this as what it is, and then to show us what we have as a plausible possibility, we should be looking somewhere around that 26. Somewhere up on the 26 region for the VIX. Possible? Possible. Come over onto our VIX chart. We have no gaps to be filled up there. However, 2371 has always been the big trigger. So this 2102, very significant, very important. But because we do have all of those earnings that are coming up in the later part of the week with Amazon and Apple, I wouldn't expect too much other than a visit around that 2102 and more importantly, getting that red month of October, which got a couple of questions on that as of now. So here I can shut that down, and there's one last thing I'm going to leave you with before I actually attempt to go back to bed. Where are we? Here we go. The Nikkei. There were some big election changes and a loss of a major political party over there in Japan over the weekend. Nikkei having a little bit of a shove, having definitely a bearish view over here on the Nikkei. Nikkei will be something that will be very important to be watching here over the course of the next couple of days as the yen drop. As you remember, the yen carry forward trade having a huge impact. But yeah, getting a breakdown on the Nikkei down here below this 37,500 area, that is when there should be some concern. There should be some concern of the follow over with the U.S. markets. So that is enough on that. I'll move this back to the 20-day, 4-hour, because that's what I like to watch. And I'll move you on over, scrolling over. FTSE, nothing to discuss on the FTSE, having been there. So here's your Russell 2000. Here is your IWM. Here is your 4-hour. And your 4-hour is pretty oversold. That's why you got your little bounce, but you are still looking for a drop to the downside. And I still think that with your IWM and your Russell 2000, you should have the ability to go see that 2170 area. Come on to your Dow Jones, and this is a major warning. Your Dow Jones 4-hour is significantly oversold. So with that in mind, and the 50-day moving average being right here, and again, the early October lows being right there, 41,831, the October, maybe even the lows of the month for October, because I think we go over here to September. Yep, come down onto it, revisit the lows, come down, touch the 50-day moving average. There's only a tiny little bit of space that I see available on the Dow Jones before you're forced to get some kind of a bounce. Come on to your SPX. SPX, not oversold, not overbought, but seeing that little move just down to that 57.60, taking out Friday or Wednesday's lows, coming back down into that lower level, making a push down to that 56.75 region. Possible, plausible during the course of this week. Upside, don't see it, not yet. Onto your NDX. And your NDX coming off of that humongously oversold into Wednesday, and bam, what do you get? You wind up getting that huge bounce coming off of that 485 up to 500 on the QQQ, because it's a video game. And when you get oversold, you're going to get those bounces. Here's your crude. Crude, perfect off that 68.50. I hope you enjoyed that, Mike. 72.34, but a lot of upside over on crude. Nothing to look at on the euro dollar because it's not important to you. Silver still breaking out above 30. Bitcoin, this 69,209 has been my punch you in the face. Why are you not taking profits alert level? Where 65,969 is, hey, you should think about taking your profits on Bitcoin. So just to see how that has worked out over history. Here's your 69,209, and here's your 65,969, where you've had some rejections, but everybody wants to talk about 100,000. So I wish you the greatest of luck with your 100,000 over on your Bitcoin. Ethereum, same thing. So this is where I really want to show is the dollar. All right, here's your dollar. And as we talked about how the dollar was due to start getting a breakout, the DXY, we are, and we've broken above 103.40. We've broken above 103.90. Now we're supporting on it. We're above the 200-day moving average, curling up, 50-day moving average, curling up, 100-day moving average, curling up. And 104,636 is right there above. We start getting that move over there on the dollar, and you start seeing that bigger, broader view as to how the video game all comes into play. And as we pointed out before, on when you get those major lows breaking down below that 101,797, every one of them historically have produced a very significant sell down on the SPX. Come over onto the Japanese yen, the US dollar, Japanese yen. Nothing but bullish. Nothing but bullish. Looking over here at your sell down, everybody knew was going to get sold down. And here was your yen carry forward trade and the big sell off and the market reaction to that. And here we are recovering back up again back up here to 152. We're far off of 157, 162. But here we are with the yen. Again, that yen carry forward trade and everything about it starting to have a big impact on everybody and starting to have a big impact on the markets itself. So that's what we got. We are basically sitting there waiting and looking for that move on, once again, over on the SPX. A move and push down below Wednesday's low, 57.62, which would essentially give us a red month with the wider, broader view of that gap to be filled over here back at 56.95, 57.15. The bigger, broader view having come off of that low from back over here in August, up 14.83%, up 8.81% off of the September 11th, September 4th, 6th lows, 54.02. The FOMC sell-off and then reaction overnight gap up. The pivot remains to be 56.37. Any breakdown below this right here, this 56.60 level, everything starts to turn bearish. So again, not saying that we've got an amazing outlook coming at us during the course of this week because we've got all those earnings that will be coming out, but we're definitely set up. And with the earnings themselves, where are you on your earnings? Where are you? Here you go. No, that's not it. I apologize. I got the wrong one again. I'm good at having the wrong one. Anyway, I lost you. Oh, yeah, the earnings are over here. So you got a big week of earnings. Nothing to go, jumping in front of the bus. And then we have the election coming up next week, and there's reports everywhere of all these Cuban migrants that came over on boats from Mariel that are lining up at the voting booths. Hey, man, what can you expect? They're all Cubans. So anyway, guys, we are safe. We are sound. We're not out of the woods, but at least I'm able to be online, produce an email, produce a video, and hopefully make some of you people a fuckload of money so that you can start helping other people.